What's good, everyone? It's Online here. Welcome back to another video, of course, as always. I feel like, in a way, our industry is kind of focused always at, looking what's ahead. Look at E3 that just happened a few weeks ago. Everyone's talking about Cyberpunk and all these games, but I kind of figured I'd take this middle point of the year, it's the end of June, to talk about the first half of 2019 and kind of my favorite games so far this year, because ultimately that's why I do the videos I like to do, because of the great games that come out and that inspire me to, talk about games that are coming out ahead in the future and just overall why I play video games, so... yeah, I guess I figured I'd talk about my favorite games this year because I haven't really been vocal about a lot of these games unless I've, done a review on the game, so it just made sense in my mind to do this, and yeah, I just figured I'd want to do it. I'm gonna be going in order of pretty much the games I like the most, kind of. They're not really concrete, but my number one game is probably my number one game this year, and so forth. I'm gonna go down, and yeah, it's been a pretty solid year so far. I'm hoping I'm not gonna forget a game and then go oh shoot, last minute. Yeah, I think these are all the games I've played so far this year that I really like, that deserve to be on this list. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's start with my first game. Now, my first game, I started with Resident Evil 2, which is kind of funny because this is the first game that came out in 2019, and that at least I bought. I think it's a lot of people's first game because this was a January title. Yeah, Resident Evil 2 was definitely up there. I played Resident Evil 4 before, so I knew that I was going to like another third-person Resident Evil game, and what a different kind of game it was. I knew, obviously, going in, it wasn't going to be a Resident Evil 4 adventure kind of game, but more so Metroidvania-like, where you're going back to old and familiar locations. It's a game that feels so focused and linear and has really good gunplay and very tense, and it's a reason, it just describes why I like to play games. It's very immersive. Mr. X, oh my gosh. I'm so glad I streamed part of that game. I didn't stream everything, but I did stream it a bit, and then I also did a review on it. Oh man, that's definitely going to be in probably my top 3 of this year. No doubt, no doubt. Resident Evil 2 is a special game, and yeah, what a year, and what, Capcom's kicking it out of the park with all these games, and they continue to do so, yeah, Resident Evil 2, I want to play it right now. We're just talking about it. I did both A and B, and I feel like that wasn't enough, even though it's 14 hours. I want to go back into that game and just do more. I believe there's DLC that I dabbled with a bit, but I never ended up fully going into it. There's just so many reasons to go back to that game, and it's just such a good game, man. Such a good game. For my number 2 game, I put Sakura Shadows Die Twice. Now, this is a game I'm actually really close to getting to platinum, but it has a really grindy last trophy with skill points, so I don't want to waste my time and do that. I'm literally 1 trophy away from doing the platinum. Besides that, I played the game almost twice now. I'm near the end on New Game Plus. That game was just so much a blast to play. It just takes kind of that From Software RPG nature, makes it a little bit more simpler, like an action game, but keeps kind of the best parts about an RPG parts. Some people don't like that you can't make a character, and yeah, that sucks, but Sakura is a really different kind of From Software game that we've seen before. Yeah, I didn't like the level design at first, and I still believe there's flaws with it, but the overall experience and the overall fun I had with that game, it's different. It feels like its own kind of genre. I said in my review, and I still think that, yeah, I still expect we'll probably get some Sakura DLC, because literally every single From Software game gets DLC. Bloodborne had it, Dark Souls games had it, and I'm just expecting it now for Sakura probably here soon. Yeah, I really like it. I don't have I feel like I'm done with the game. Once I played that game a lot, I feel like a lot of people will know what I'm talking about. You play From Software games so much, you don't want to go back to it, but the experience and the memories are good, but you're just burnt out in a way. So that's kind of what I'm feeling for Sakura. Probably won't return to it unless I get that final trophy for the platinum, or when the eventual DLC comes out that I'm expecting now. But yeah, besides that, Sakura is just such a fun game, and that was in March, right? Yeah, end of March 22nd, I believe. So it was a good midway point of this first half of the year, and definitely one of the highlights. As you can see, it's my 2nd spot, so yeah. I was very conflicted on what I wanted to put in my 3rd spot, but I ended up putting Devil May Cry 5. Now, I have some, problems with Devil May Cry 5, but ultimately, that game is really, really fun. It's kind of gamey in a way. If there's a gamey game, it's Devil May Cry. It's, when you're in a mood to have a game with really good combat, it's definitely Devil May Cry 5 to play. Yeah, I do have faults with the level design. I've been very vocal about that to my friends and people that ask me about my opinions on Devil May Cry 5. There's an ice level in Devil May Cry 5, and it only lasts for a couple minutes, but yeah, it just didn't make much sense to me in some of the other choices, and I didn't really like V too much as a character in the play. A lot, you could pick up on him a bit, but yeah, I'm not here to talk about the bad parts about Devil May Cry 5. The good parts were just concluded the story that we've known for so long now. I actually got into Devil May Cry just this year, so it was cool to play those games for the first time right up until 5. I even played through 2, which was yeah, people that know Devil May Cry 2 know Devil May Cry 2, sadly. You know, weirdly enough, I still haven't played 4, so that's something I still want to put on my list eventually to play, but yeah, man, Devil May Cry 5 was such a good game, especially coming after 1 and 3, and yeah, I want more Devil May Cry. If anything, with 5's ending, I want to see where it continues after that. Like, yeah, it just, yeah, I want more Devil May Cry, and you know, I thought maybe at E3 we get more DLC. I still think that might be on the cards, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just focus on a new game now, because if anything, Devil May Cry 5 and that like long wait is just, I hope Capcom realizes that people want more, and I definitely want more, so yeah. Alright, so in my 4th spot, I decided to put in one VR game, and that's Blood and Truth. Now, this is a game that I played within a couple days and beat it, I think, within a couple days. Yeah, I mean, it's only like a 6 to 7 hour experience. I say experience, it's not an experience. VR game, pretty much. A lot of what makes this game great, in my opinion, is it feels like you're not getting a loss of quality. It feels like you're playing like a regular game with all those AAA kind of qualities to it, but just in VR, in a way. Like, sure, it's not the longest game in the world, but there's so much to it. There's like collectibles. It just feels like a complete experience, especially for $40. It's like one of the most memorable experiences, definitely in VR, probably my top 3 VR experiences. I say experiences, I don't mean like an experience you play once, because I've definitely gone back to the game now a couple times and done like redo levels and tried to get certain trophies and try to find collectibles. It's just such a good game. It definitely feels like one of the first VR games that people from the beginning that made a good game, like look at VR Worlds, they know what VR is about, so going on the second time they know what works. Like there's like very little loading screens in this game, or at least like transitions. I believe there's like barely any like cut to blacks or like any parts of that. It just feels very fluid, like a movie, but it works, and the pacing is great. It feels like you're playing a game / movie, but like in a good kind of like combination of those two, not in a bad way at all. So definitely Blood and Truth if you have PSVR. It's only $40. I imagine it'll go down in sale like most VR games do, but even at 40, it's a great game, one of the best VR games, and hell, support VR because this is a new medium and this is one of the games doing it right. Alright, let's talk about a Sony exclusive, because we gotten 2 of them so far this year. I decided to put Days Gone above Dreams. Days Gone, I feel like, was pretty underrated in my opinion, at least, you know, from the press side of things. Like, the game was a lot better than I thought going into it. Deacon is surprisingly a pretty good character, and I want to see what he does next. Days Gone, ultimately, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, polished as much as like a big AAA studio, but a lot of people realize Sony Bend isn't the biggest studio in the world, and just the fact that they could put off like an open world game, and it is an open world game and there's some flaws with it, but just it has heart to it, which most don't, and it's the reason why I continued and ended up beating the game within a couple weeks, which is, you know, if you know me, I really don't like open world games. Like, I really just fall off of them pretty completely. But Days Gone was just, it's different in that way. It still felt focused in a way while still giving you reasons to do other stuff. Or looking back on Days Gone, I still plan to like do a review, kind of like in retrospective, you know, kind of the months after the game came out, going in the future. But just everything from like the survival aspects to the minute-to-minute gameplay carried it when like the story wasn't progressing. Because yeah, that was one thing, the story, you know, it did feel like it took a couple missions for it to really get good. At times, like you'd play 5 regular missions and you'd finally get a cool story mission. Yeah, it did feel filler in that way, and it didn't feel like it was, you know, ultimately, you know, the best kind of length, but it's really fun game in my opinion, and I'm glad I played it, and I just want to see what they do next, and yeah, it has a lot of heart to it. So Days Gone, definitely a really fun game to play, and it's one of the like few zombie survival games, in a way, zombie survival game, but that did it right. So yeah, cheers to the guys over at Sony Bend. I really liked it a lot, so yeah. It's just a good game. It's nothing that's like amazing, but just a good game, and we need those in like the gaming industry. Like, not every game's gonna be a masterpiece, and we shouldn't expect that. Alright, let's move on to Dreams. Now, Dreams is a game that a lot of people kind of said, oh, PS5, but here enough, it's like June, and we've had the game for a couple months now, which is weird saying alongside Dreams. But yeah, Dreams, ultimately, I haven't played too much of it, but I have created stuff, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's gonna be really fun to jump into like what people make. Like, I've kind of realized early on that I don't really have the time, nor do I really want to make stuff in this game, because quite frankly, I just don't really want to spend hours making stuff when I barely get time to my backlog. So just kind of putting that into realization, I've kind of just dabbled in the game every few weeks here and see what people have made, and kind of, you know, just see what the community's doing. And yeah, it's like obviously kind of feels like Little Planet in that way, that a game I grew up with and I loved playing. Obviously this is on a broader scale, this is like every single genre you can think of, and with the logics, it's just, this game is literally a game engine, sold for like $30 I believe, And yeah, it's gonna continue to get updates. The game immediately, like right now, is already in a good state. Like people can make what they want to make. It's not like, you know, we're reliant on them to update the game. Everything they're giving us at this point is pretty much extra. Yeah, what can I say? It's impressive as hell. I'm pretty sure you've seen any Twitter clips like the PT stuff. Game's impressive as hell, and the future's bright for that game. Like, I believe we're gonna get a VR update hopefully before the end of the year. I hope they add in, because that's gonna be really cool to have like so much content to play in VR. But yeah, just anything you want out of Dreams. I've streamed it before. People were really impressed by what I was playing. I myself was playing like a level that took like nearly 45 minutes to beat, and I'm just like, how the hell did someone make this? Like, it's crazy. And ultimately, like when you look at Little Planet kind of games, like the peak is like years ahead of the game. So knowing the brightest days for Dreams are only ahead of it is just something that's awesome. And immediately right now, it's not like a game you necessarily need to buy, because it is an early access and it's for like creators and people that want to leave feedback and help shape the future of the game. But like, yeah, right now it's in a good place, and I'm so glad I bought it. And it's just like one of those special games on the PS4 that you can only get by playing that game in a way. So yeah, Dreams. Alright, going to the final two games, I put Crash Team Racing. This is actually one of the latest games that just came out just this past Friday. I haven't played as much as I wanted to play. I have beat the adventure mode, and I'm now doing some time trials, but yeah, ultimately, like, just so many games coming out right now, or just I gotta play right now since it's summer and stuff, that I haven't played as much as I wanted to play of it, but I've definitely played probably a little bit over 10 hours of the game. Yeah, it's really fun, really fun. Man, it feels arcadey, as I said in my early impressions video. Pretty much all that sticks up to right now. Just, yeah, it requires so much more than like luck like Mario Kart does. It requires a lot of precision, and it feels like you're in control, and like when you're going at super high speeds, and just it's like the definition of a summer game. And right now it just came out, so obviously as we see, like, updates are still to come, and just I gotta play more of the game, honestly. So yeah, definitely Crash Team Racing, one of my favorite games this year. Just didn't want to put it too much high on the list, because I haven't really done as much as I have with these other games so far on the list. So right now I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, it's definitely one of the highlights, at least for this year, and one of the most fun games I've played in a while. So yeah. Alright, 10 off the list. It's kind of like a weird one. Division 2. Division, I didn't really like that much back on like the Actually, yeah, it was PS4 days. It was like the early PS4 days, kind of like Watch Dogs. I believe it came out in like 2015, just 2 years after the PS4 came out. Maybe a year and a half after the PS4 came out. Obviously was like one of those Ubisoft IPs that, you know, I'm sure it found its like fan base there, but ultimately kind of consider a flop. Division 2 is a lot better in my opinion. Like, just, I don't know, the campaign and the loot, it's just, the loot feels constantly rewarding. I pretty much beat the campaign, and I pretty much stopped there, because yeah, a lot of times on looter shooters I really don't do the extra stuff, because quite frankly, that's kind of just where I lose interest. But yeah, the campaign was like 30 hours, and I feel like I got my money's worth of the game just by playing those 30 hours and enjoying it. And I could still join in on the world and do some extra stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm still down to play some of those modes. I've just been focusing on single player games. But yeah, what a 30 hours that game was. It's quite a long game. Just like being in voice chats while I was playing the game, and just, it's kind of like a mindless kind of game. Really enjoyed it. Really feel like Ubisoft, that's like one of their best games in the past couple years. While I necessarily didn't enjoy Far Cry 5 or anything, Division 2 I actually found some fun with it. Not like I'm going to continue playing it, but it does have free DLC, so who knows, maybe. Yeah, ultimately I feel like it's one of the best looter shooters, at least from me, in a while that I've played, and the fact that I don't have to fork out more money for like a season pass in a way right now feels good. So yeah, I guess so far those have been the games I've enjoyed the most. Yeah, definitely, I think there's like 7, 8 games in there in the list, so it's been a pretty good first half. Again, I might be spoiling my top 10 games of the year, but ultimately, like, we have so many games left forward for this year. Like, Nintendo's only starting to get out games now, like tomorrow night, or tomorrow, I mean, yeah, literally Mario Maker 2 is coming out. So I feel like my list overall might change later on. We still got Death Stranding, so yeah, I figured I'd just give this like halfway, midway year kind of update on what I've been playing and what I've liked. So yeah, those are definitely like the 8 highlights for me. I've actually played quite a bit of games this year so far. Don't get me wrong, I still have like the, you know, War Groove to play on Switch that I still want to play, and some other indies and some other AAA games even, but ultimately I have played a lot more this year than I have in previous years, so it's always nice to feel like you kind of can understand like what's come out in the year instead of having like a huge backlog of games that have come out this year. So yeah, I guess with that being said, let me know what you guys have been playing and what you guys enjoyed so far in 2019. And yeah, really enjoyed making this video and just talking about games, because ultimately that's why I do the videos I do. So yeah, I guess with that being said, I'll see you guys in a future stream or video. I've been online. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next video or stream, I guess. Take care, guys.